Going on, Misfits? Hello, and welcome back to another edition of Logician Tim Learns with me, your host, Logician Tim. This is where you get to watch me go from a total gaming newbie to a more informed gaming newbie. How about that? What is up, you guys? Thank you so much for tuning in. What's up, Mitchell, Mark, Joe? Hello, good to see you. Welcome. Jacob, what is up, my dude? Yeah, been a long time. Good to see you. Yeah, we're back. We're going to be covering some more of this Degenesis. Now, last week I spent the entire week going over book one, which was kind of more about the world and the 7 cults or the 7 cultures and the 13 cults in the world. And I got to tell you that this is one of the first RPGs that have really captured my imagination, so much so that all last week I was dreaming about the different cults and cultures. I mean, I really was. It was that immersive that it really made me think about it so much that I was dreaming about it. So really cool stuff. And so whenever a book does that, that's a good sign to me. That's a really good sign. Very, very good writing, very creative, very descriptive, and I love it. Really good stuff. So yeah, today though, we are going to be going over the game mechanics and as well as the character creation in the Degenesis RPG. And it's a really simple mechanic system. It has a couple little twists in there for us. And so just enough to make it interesting without being too complicated. So I really like it. So let's kind of dive in and see what it has in store for us. I'm going to be flipping back and forth from the PDF and also my book. And that way you guys can see some of the really cool artwork up close and personal. So this is just kind of what you see when you open the book, these kind of couple black and white pages. And you can tell like this, what's up, Liam? Some of these guys standing here, I think those are Spitalians, the guy with the gas mask on. Those are kind of like the healers for the most part, as we learned last week. But check out some of this art. Holy smokes, man. Some of it's really gruesome. Now, and let me warn you too, there's a little bit of nudity in here as well. I should have mentioned this last week. There's a little bit of nudity. It's fairly light, but you know, there is some nudity that you'll probably end up seeing on some of these streams. There's not any today, but that I can remember. But a couple of shots do have a little bit of weird stuff in there. What's up, DJ? So yeah, let's go ahead and start talking about the game mechanics. And check out this art, man. Just incredible stuff. Let me go back here to my book and flip to the page. And this is where we're at in the book. This is where they start telling us, Matt, what is up, my dude? Hey, duder. Nice haircut. Yeah, I had to get my hairs cut. We have Gamma this week, guys. We got a Gamma on Sunday. So if you're going to be at Gamma, let me know. I would like to meet up with you, say hi, hang out a little bit. So yeah, let me know if you're going to be at Gamma for sure. Yeah. All right. So the game mechanics, let's first dive into that. It's a pretty short section because like I said, it's pretty easy. Now, first we're going to start talking a little bit about the attributes. And so their attributes are really similar to other games that we've looked at, where you have 6 different attributes, which are body, agility, charisma, intellect, psyche, and instinct. Okay. So most of those are pretty typical, except for psyche is a little bit different. And I don't remember seeing instinct before. So there's a couple in there that are a little bit different. So basically your attributes range from 1 to 6. So your ranks in those attributes are going to range from 1 to 6. Now body, some of these are very common sense. So body is kind of like what you can carry, how strong you are, like the damage you can take and stuff like that. Your agility attribute is, dodging and manipulating complex mechanisms. Your firearm skills are based on your agility. Your charisma is just like normal. It's your diplomacy, negotiation, stuff like that. Intellect is, your ability to quickly absorb information and also remembering that information as well. And, your planning and foresight and kind of be able to see the consequences of things a little bit better. And then psyche is like your mental strength. So like things like intimidation, like being able to mentally intimidate somebody would come underneath this attribute. There's some kind of cool features of being able to push yourself beyond your limits. And that's also in this psyche attribute as well. And then finally, the last one is instinct. And these are kind of like here's the way it phrases it: rudimentary reactions to outside influences. I mean, I think that's a pretty, kind of a silly way of saying, or complex way of saying that, like your perception checks and things like that would be under instincts. Maybe your survival skills would be under instinct. I think taming, like animal taming, is under instinct. So there are some type of primal type things in instinct attribute. Okay. And again, these are going to range from 1 to 6. Okay. As far as your rank in them. And so each of these attributes, each of these 6 attributes have their own skills that are associated with them. Okay. So each of these attributes has 6 skills to each attribute that are associated with it. And skills are kind of similar to attributes where they range from, attributes range from 1 to 6. Skills are going to be ranked from 0 to 6. Okay. And let me find this page here so I can show you. There's a whole bunch of them. So like in body, and let me pull this up for you so you can see. And look at this this art. How cool is that? The 2 kids just practicing, killing each other and fighting. It's just awesome. Looks like he's got a little fishing pole or something he's fighting with, but it's cool. So like underneath the body attribute, there are 6 skills that are athletic, melee, brawl, stamina, force, and toughness. And it kind of gives you a quick rundown of what each of these skills are and the type of actions associated. Like in athletics, for example, it tells us that you'll see things like running and climbing and jumping, swimming and stuff like that. Also some reactions that are kind of associated, like gauging time or distance in relation to one of the things, regaining your balance, escaping from dangerous situations. Those are type of reactions that you would see off the athletics skill. And then you'll look at things like, I can flip back to my book here, and each one kind of has their own list of 6 main skills, right? And so agility has things like crafting, navigation, dexterity, mobility, stealth, projectiles. Charisma has the arts, conduct, expression, negotiation, leadership, and seduction. Then intellect has artifact lore, engineering, focus, medicine, legends, and science. And then psyche has, where is it? Cunning, reaction, deception, domination, willpower. Then instinct finally has empathy, primal, orienteering, which is kind of like navigating, survival, perception, and taming. And so those are your basic skills. And of course, you're going to run into some things that are going to fall outside of those 6 skills, I'm assuming. And you would just kind of go through that the best you can. Now, let's talk quickly about how the mechanics works. Now, the mechanics system in Degenesis is a D6 pool system. And I love D6 pool systems. They're easy to understand, and I just really enjoy them. What's up, Henrik? Good to see you, my dude. So I really do like these D6 dice pools, and this one uses one, and to me, it's one of my favorites I've seen so far. Really, it's up there, if not the favorite. Now, they use, so they call these pools of dice that you're going to be rolling your action number, or AN for short. So your action number is your dice pool, okay? And your action number is going to be decided by your attribute skill, or your attribute value, plus the skill value, okay? So if you're using that athletics skill, well, we know that's under body, and so we're going to use your body rank, of your attribute of body rank, plus your skill of athletics, and that's going to tell you how many dice that you're going to use. Now, it needs to be said that the GM can kind of change that up a little bit. They can vary how your dice pool a little bit. They can say, look, it's really dark, so you're not going to be able to see, so I'm going to take away a dice from you. And there's also stuff like bonuses that are going to give you more dice to roll. So you have to have a little bit of leeway in there. So Matthew says, so far, all of my favorite systems have been D6s. Me too, dude. Also because the dice are really easy to come by. Yes, everybody has D6, and nobody's confused by D6 either. Like you start throwing in front of me like D8, D12, D10s, D20s, all of them together, and I have to really look for a minute because I'm not used to it. I have to look and figure out, okay, which one is the D10, which one is the D8. Some of them look kind of similar to me, and as a newbie, it's just too much. Just give me a bunch of D6s, I can roll them up. It's just always easier for me. What is up, Scott? What is up, Scooty? Good to see you, my dude. So your action number, like I said, is going to be a total of your attribute plus your skill. That's pretty standard, right? And let's see, what did I say? Okay, yeah, I think I gave an example. If your body attribute is 3 and your toughness skill is a 2, you would get to roll 5 dice. How easy is that? Now, your successes, this is pretty standard for the most part. Your successes are determined when, hey, a bunch of cool kids jumping in today. Yeah, Matt. So your successes in this game are any dice that you roll that have a value of 4, 5, or 6. So a 4 or higher is considered a success in this game, okay? Now, it needs to be said that if your action number or your dice pool is higher than 12, so let's say you just got a buttload of dice because your attributes are so high and you got these bonuses from your equipment and whatever, and let's say you're rolling like 15 dice. Well, anything over 12 is just going to be automatically added to a success. So you're always going to roll a maximum of 12 dice, never more. Okay. So you can only roll a maximum of 12. So if you're rolling if you would have rolled 15 dice, well, 3 of those are just going to be automatic successes. Okay. And it's pretty similar as far as other games. What does Joe says? What is up, Joe? By the way, Joe and Angela. Hello. Good to see you. Got to take Sunday to a Cub Scout meeting. Catch you guys there. All right, Joe. Yeah, my son's got a Cub Scout meeting here in an hour or 2, hour and a half. So yeah, I'll be doing that as well. So good luck to him. So difficulty is just like pretty much every other game. It's the number of successes needed, and it's normally determined by the GM. And it's not, and it says that it's not always known before the roll. So you might be rolling and not know the number of difficulty that you have to face. And so I kind of like that idea that you're not always going to know what the difficulty is. And so if you look right here, I know it's a little bit hard to read. Actually, I can highlight it over here. So your successes needed are, 1 success is just routine, 2 is challenging, 3 is difficult, 4 is, 1 success is routine, 2 is challenging, 4 is difficult, 6 is very difficult, 8 is almost impossible, and 10 is desperate measure. All right. So when you're making those difficulties as a GM, kind of use those as a rule of thumb. But remember, you're going to get more successes in this game because of the successes are a 4, 5, or a 6, right? So you literally got half a chance on each dice to hit a success, right? So you're going to have more successes than in a lot of games that we've looked at before. So let's quickly look at the. So that's the chart there. Let me catch up in my book here. Now, one cool thing that they had is this thing called a trigger. And in this game, it's actually good to be triggered. And so what this is, it's kind of like an exploding dice in a way. If you roll a 6 on your dice, it is considered a success and also a trigger. Okay. And what triggers do is they tell you kind of how fast you did something or maybe how well you did something. In combat, triggers make things happen like more often. So you maybe, if you're trying to shoot twice, maybe you shot 4 times, or maybe you're trying to shoot 1 target, maybe it hit both targets or something like that. And also more damage will be done as well. So it's kind of cool. So triggers are only generated in successful actions, though. I mean, that should be a given. So if you fail your roll, but you have 3 triggers, it doesn't mean jack, right? So those triggers just go away. And it kind of gives us a little bit of a chart here on triggers. It doesn't really matter to me. 1 triggers is solid, 2 is remarkable, 3 is excellent, 4 is brilliant, 5 triggers is incredible, 6 is legendary. So those are different things. What is up, Zoltan? Good to see you, my dude. Good to see you. So yeah, that's how triggers work. And conflict is pretty straightforward as well. So whenever 2 opponents attack each other, they're both going to roll their dice at the same time using those dice pool, right? And the person with the most successes wins, and that's pretty standard. Now, if a tie, the number of the most triggers will determine the winner. Now, if it's still a tie, it kind of just goes to common sense. Now, if you think about this, there is a time when ties can be acceptable, right? And there's times with that it just doesn't make any sense. So Matt says, I'm away out of work. Good, sir. I'll catch the replay later. Thanks as always, Tim. See you, Matt. Scott says, I'm triggered. You're always triggered, Scott. What's up, Jay? What's up, my dude? So yeah, if it goes to a tie, it's just really common sense. Now, if you're in a foot race, if you're racing somebody on foot, yeah, there can be a tie, right? That makes sense to me. But if you're trying to sneak up on somebody and they're trying to detect you, there's not really a tie there. Either you do or you don't. And so in that type of case, you have to succeed or else you fail. So if it ends up in a tie and you can't break the tie through triggers, then you fail, right? Because you can't just like have a tie when you're trying to sneak up on somebody. That's just silly. Either you do and you don't. And so a success is a success, and nothing but a success is a success. Holy crap. I think I'm tripping. Yeah. So yeah, anyways, cool stuff. And then, so we've talked about successes, and of course we've got to talk about failures, right? Because I love to fail in games. That's one of my favorite parts. Why does this thing keep adjusting? Look, it's worse. Now it's better. There we go. So one of my favorite parts in RPGs is failing rolls, because it brings up some really funny stories, right? So, and in this game, it's no different. So if you don't have enough successes to overcome your difficulty level, then you fail. Plain and simple, right? Now, if you don't have enough successes to overcome the difficulty and you roll more ones than successes. So let's say I rolled 2 successes and I needed 4, but I rolled, say, 5 ones, right? That'd be like a really bad one, but I rolled 5 ones. Well, this is called a botched roll, or a botch. And it's kind of like an epic fail, right? And you can really imagine the consequences. So if you botch your roll, that's pretty bad. And so if you're doing a negotiation or something like that, a botched deal is going to double the cost. A botched navigation might lead you right into the enemy's hands, right? So you're trying to navigate over these mountains, and maybe you just, oh crap, we're right in all these orcs or whatever it is, right? I guess in this game it wouldn't be orcs; it'd be the psychonauts, right? The pharomancers or something like that. A botched attack in combat might mean that you injured yourself somehow, or maybe you dropped your weapon or something like that. But to me, that always has the most potential for the funniest stories, right? Remember that time when you botched your roll and blah, blah, blah. I mean, just fill in the blanks. That to me just sounds like the most fun. So anyways, that's pretty much it for the mechanics. Like I said, the mechanic system is super duper easy, guys. And I really dig that. Botched is when the dice falls off the table or bounces out of the dice tray, right? Yes, that's exactly it. Yeah. That would be me too, right? Because I'm kind of like the klutz of the group. I'm always dropping crap. Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the mechanics. The mechanics system is relatively simple. Has a couple twists in there that I really like. The weapons kind of come in. They have some weapon kind of bonuses, but it's all just basically plus and minus dice, and it's pretty easily understood. So I really like that. So what we're going to do, let me see here. Let's make sure I didn't miss any art. I love my nose never itches until I get on stream. What is up? But check out some of this art. Just amazing. Just amazing stuff. So yeah, we're going to move right ahead into character creation. See this guy getting his head shaved. I got my haircut, not like that though. So first, let's talk a little bit about the character creation. Now, when you jump into this, let me change my book over. Before you begin your character creation, it's kind of important to understand that there's kind of 2 different roads that you can take in these kind of specialties, which are going to determine how your character deals with issues. And so you can kind of either be primal or focus, faith or willpower. Okay. These kind of lead you down 2 different branches. Now, it's not super duper, like it's going to ruin your character, but if you kind of look ahead and look at some of the skills and potentials that you have opened up to you for each one, then you might prefer one over the other. And so basically it comes down to, when you problem solve, do you do that with your head or with your heart? You know, are you like primal is more driven by your emotions, while focus is the opposite, right? So focus is relying on a cool head and rationality and those type of things. And so it might be fun to play a very emotional character, or maybe you're trying to play a really intellectual or maybe kind of calloused or cold character. Then you might want to choose focus as that instead. And they each do their ego points a little bit differently, and I'll talk about that when we get to it. Because ego points is kind of like the mental fortitude and can also trigger some hidden reserves, like especially in combat, some stuff. And we'll get to that when we get to the combat section. So each one of these are going to determine your ego points, whether you go with the focus or the primal. So, and then the faith and willpower, they are used to deflect mental attacks, is the best way I can put it. And so, yeah, again, these decisions are going to mean, kind of easier access to certain attributes and skills connected to either the primal or the focus, and adding some of your special abilities, those potentials that I'm going to talk about here shortly, to either that primal or your focus, depending on which one you choose. So just something to think about before you just start hammering out that character sheet. Kind of read ahead a little bit on this one, because if you're like me, I like to get things done as I see it. And so when I'm reading the book, I don't just read everything then go back. Like, if I can start filling out my character sheet while I'm reading, I will start doing that. And I know that's bad, because later on I'm going to go, oh crap, I got to change this, and that's going to change this, this, and this. I know it's just bad, but that's what I do. So in this case, be forewarned, read it first, then go back and fill it out. So let's talk really quickly about the starting attributes and skills. And I touched on this just a little bit with the at the beginning, but you basically get, when you start off, you're going to get 10 attribute points to spend. Okay. And like I said, the attributes start at 1, right? They're ranked from 1 to 6. They can't go any lower than 1. So that first point, it's free, right? It's already in there. So you don't have to spend a point on it. And you're going to get a max of 2 points per attribute. Okay. No. Yeah. Max spend is 2 points per attribute, so there'll be a total of 3, right? Because there's 1 already in there. I can spend 2 more. That gives me 3. I can add today. So that's how you're going to start off. Your attributes can only have a max of 3 points. Okay. Now your skills are kind of similar, where you're going to get 28 skill points, because remember, there's a lot more skills than there are attributes, but those start with a ranking of 0. So you don't have that skill at all, and you have 2 points max per skill, the same. Okay. So you can spend 2 points in there with a max of 2, right? And some of these are going to be raised a little bit. So when I say you can only have max 2 per skill, well, actually, that's not exactly true. Just at this point, when you're making your character, it's going to be a max of 2, but those are going to be raised. A lot of those are going to be raised above this maximum as we further into character creation. I'm going to show you about that now. So real quickly, let's run down the 6 steps of character creation. Off to dinner, then a high school performance of Mamma Mia. Oh my gosh, yeah. Good luck, my dude. Good luck. Tell Chloe break a leg. So yeah, 6 steps to character creation in the Degenesis RPG. And those are, number 1, we're going to choose, they call it the 3 C's. Okay, choose your culture, your concept, and your cult. 3 C's, all right? Then next, we're going to spend our points, our attribute and skill points. Then third, we're going to spend points on our backgrounds. Then 4, we're going to determine our rank. 5, we're going to choose our potentials. And then 6, we're going to do our finishing touches. And it's pretty quickly, guys. It's really quick. So when we start talking about choosing our culture, now let me pull this up. Where am I? Look at this art. Just wow. Like every single one of them is just wow. Awesome stuff. What's funny is I used to work for an apartment complex, and that was our logo. Those little 3 like little pyramid squares. That's kind of funny. Anyways. So yeah, when you start choosing your culture first, remember there's the 7 cultures, right? And so you're going to choose which one of these that you want to belong to. Now, they had this handy dandy chart for us. And so Borka, it kind of tells us here's the common cults that are associated with Borka. And so if you're wanting to play a Spitalian, well, here they are right here. They're right there on the culture. And so that's normal, right? Now, if you wanted to play, a Spitalian and you wanted to play a Spitalian in Africa, well, it's not to say that it's impossible, but just you would have to come up with a thicker backstory to kind of explain that, right? Because it's going to be super rare. Everybody's going to be like, what the hell are you doing here? So yeah, this kind of chart helps you pick easily, tells you the common cults, depending on which one you want to play. The attribute bonus, this is where it comes in handy. So if let's say we're playing a Spitalian, And it tells us here that we're going to get a bonus to our agility and to our instinct of +1. Okay. Now, if we choose Franca instead, then we're not going to get the bonus to agility and instinct. We're going to get it to our charisma and instinct instead. And so, kind of choosing which culture that you're going to be going to be a part of is going to affect your attribute and therefore your dice rolls, right? So that because you get one extra dice for each point, right? So yeah, very important. And then also you can see here, you're also going to get skill bonuses as well. So you kind of want to be going through here and figuring out what type of character you're trying to build and look at those skills, look at those attributes, and then choose your culture that way. And concept is very similar. Remember, we're doing the 3 C's: culture, concept, and cult. Concept is very similar. So this is where you're going to pick from one of these type of concepts. So I'm going to call myself an adventurer, say, okay? And it kind of gives us a nice little, rundown of what that may be. Maybe I'm Tim the creator or Tim the mentor, right? Kind of runs down these, gives us a bunch to choose from. But here's where it really comes in. You can read those, whichever one's kind of spark your fancy. Then you move over to this nice little chart here for us. And it tells us which attribute it's going to modify, and again, which bonuses. So that's going to be on top of that that culture bonuses. Okay, so these are all on top of. So you can really build something very, very strong here, right? And then finally, so you're going to pick this, and then finally you're going to pick your cult. All right, and remember we went over our cults before, and this is like battalions and the Palers and the Clanners and or the Helveticas, all those type of people. Those are all the types of cults, and they're almost like classes in a way. Okay. And here's the kind of a rundown of them as well. A nice little chart here for us, and it kind of tells us there are skill bonuses that you're going to get, and these are going to be pretty well related to that cult, right? Because battalions are more of a healer, but they're also badass fighters too. And Helvetics are definitely soldiers, but they can also be charismatic and great leaders as well, right? And so you'll start looking at them and figuring out what type of character that you want. And these 3 C's are really going to determine, what your skills are very strong in, what you're weak in, and kind of the way that you're going to spread out from there, the way you're going to grow into, right? So that's it for that part. Then secondly, we're going to spend points, and that just goes back to having those 10 attribute points, 28 skill points, and once you know these bonuses that you're going to get, then you're going to go back and spend your skill points. And so I understand why they kind of did it this way, because if you spent points first and then went and picked all this stuff, you'd be going backwards and trying to fill in holes and stuff, and it make no sense. So yeah, get all your stuff set up first with your bonuses, then you'll know which to go back and be able to spend your points on. And then next, we're going to spend points on what they call backgrounds. And there are 6. Let me get caught up here. There are 6 backgrounds. I'll get there. Here we go. There are 6 backgrounds in the book. There's allies, authority, renown, resources, secrets, and network. And these describe basically how far you've gotten in your cult, okay? So which rank you have, how charismatic you are outside the cult, those type of things. And every background has a score between 0 and 6, okay? And you can raise, remember, you can raise kind of your skills and your attributes through playing the game, but background cannot be raised, okay? If you want to gain more influence, you're going to have to work inside your cults and advance up the ranks in your cult to do so. And they're going to give you 4 points to assign to those 6 backgrounds. And you can have a max of 3 in any one background, right? And these just kind of go through here, and they tell you a little bit about each one. And you're going to have a little bit of a trade-off. Like you're going to have a gain and a loss for each one. And so you're just going to go through there. And depending on your cult, then some of these backgrounds are going to really kind of gel well with them to make you stronger. Or maybe if you're weak in one area, then these will help kind of balance that out a little bit. And so you can kind of choose that when you're building your character. So it's kind of cool. Next, we go into determining determining your rank within your cult. And this is super cool. This adds a lot to the game, in my opinion. Let me make sure I didn't skip any cool artwork. Yeah, I did. Oh, no, I didn't. I'm actually on the right page. So this is the ranks. And this is what makes this game more complex than just a D6 dice pool system, guys. I love this. The ranks inside your cult kind of open up like skill trees a little bit, okay? And your ranks are determined by your attribute and your skills, okay, added together. And so back to that body and toughness, maybe those combined have an 8. Well, if you're you go to your cult, here we go. We'll use, which one is this one? Is this this is the battalions, okay? So let's look at battalions ranks real quick. They have recruit, orderly, famulancer, field medic, hygienist, whatever, and so on, right? But if you look here, I know it's kind of hard to see. It's kind of small, but right here, that's recruit is level 1, then orderly, right? Then famulancer, and then at level 4, you'll see something interesting where it takes these two different branches. Where if you're going to choose a preservist, you're going to go through this top kind of skill tree, right? If you take the field medic or any of these other ones down here, you're going to go through this second skill tree. And each one of these are going to give you some different abilities and different equipment. This is where the plot thickens, you guys. And so when you're first starting off, you can see here recruit has no prerequisite. So you're automatically a recruit, right? But you might get a couple, maybe even a few ranks right off the bat because of those bonuses and this of your cult, the 3 C's, basically the cult, culture, and concept. Then you might get 3 or even more ranks in your cult right away. And each one of these gives you some type of result where it says like, this says survives countless infections in the appendix that ultimately strengthen his immune system. He gets a lifelong +1 dice bonus on all rolls against illnesses. And they pick up a battalion suit. So that's at level 2, right? Well, then at level 3, something else happens, right? And so you keep that bonus that you get as a recruit, as an orderly, as level 3, whatever, as you move up, right? And so those just kind of make you stronger and stronger. So it's really neat. Bye, everyone. Need to do homework with kids. See you. We'll see you, Jay. Good to see you, my dude. So yeah, I love this idea of these ranks, and as you spend points to level up your skills and attributes, you're also gaining your ranks and getting new kind of abilities and gaining new equipment as well, just naturally with the game. And I love that. I really do. And so they go through each one of these in one of the cults, showing us what ranks, all the different ranks there are, which is this. This is the Chroniclers, right? The Darth Vader guys. So, they go through each one of those with their rank qualifications and stuff like that. And pretty awesome stuff. Now, next, we're going to choose our potential. And so each one of these has a potential associated with it. So the battalions have their own potentials, okay? And some of these potentials are going to have prerequisites, okay? And so you get to choose one potential at level 1. When you first start off, you get to choose one potential. And so you can choose either a cult potential or a general potential, okay? And so the cult potentials are put in these little sections here, right for you behind the ranks. And so the potentials like splaying or last bastion, those type of things. Now again, some of these come with prerequisites. Like this one has a prerequisite of focus, and if you picked primal earlier, then you can never get this potential, okay? And each one of these just kind of gives you a special ability that is just kind of something sort of unique to you and your class, right? And you can pick one of those. You can also pick one of the, let me flip forward to it. There are a bunch of general potentials as well. So you don't have to pick one out of your cult. Let me flip over here. You can pick something like moving mountains, which it says, when the obstacles seem insurmountable and courage is fading, the character first controls themselves and then the challenge through sheer willpower. I'll get through it. In a desperate situation, he gets +1 success per potential level for exactly one action. Can be used once in 3 days. And so you'll get one of these abilities that you can use, and they all have kind of different perks that they give you in certain situations. And so you can use some of these general ones, or you can use the ones that are applicable to just your class, which to me seem a little bit stronger. But of course, they're not going to be used as often as the general ones are. So be careful when you choose your potential, and when you're kind of doing all this, it's going to take longer. This isn't like you're just going to pop on and make your character in 20 minutes. No, you're going to have to do some reading and some research. They put a lot of time and energy into this game, and they really want you to put that time and energy in making your character as well. Do your research, kind of build out your character. It's going to make a big difference when you're playing, I think. So after you've chosen your potential, then we eventually finally get to the final touches. Let me get through the back here, because all these pages are the different cults and their ranks and potentials, right? I guess I could let you flip through these real quick on the pages so that you can see these. There's the Chroniclers. Who's that? That's the Helvetics, right? Yeah, he looks like a judge. That hammer always gives him away, right? Yep, that's the judge. That's a clanner. Okay, that's a clanner. Dude, he looks awesome. The Scrapper. Dude, the Scrapper looked a lot like heavy, a lot more heavy duty than I would have imagined. Is that Neo-Libyan? Okay, he looks pretty awesome. This guy's going to be the Scourger, I bet. Yep, Scourger. I really like those guys. They're pretty awesome. This is going to be the Anubians, right? There's kind of like the shaman type people. We're pretty much just showing you this more for the art, but it's just pretty cool. Apocalyptics. So the Anabaptists, these guys are kind of freaky. And the Palers, this was the last one. The Palers, remember, the people that lived underground for a long time. They looked really strange. So that was the last one. Now let me click to where we're at now. Again, look at this art. Amazing, amazing. All right, let me flip back here to the final touches of creating your character. All right. So the final touches when you're creating your character. Remember me telling you about the ego points. And so on your character sheet, they have this kind of spot there for your ego points. And again, this is kind of like how much mental damage that you can take before kind of going mad, right? And depending on which one if you chose primal or focus, basically it's your intelligence plus either your focus or your primal times 2 is going to give you your ego points. So pretty simple to do. Another one is your spore infestation on your character sheet. So I can flip over to this. You can kind of see your character sheet. Let me show you on the screen too. Oh, this one. So you can see the character sheet here. And where are these? So you can see your skills and everything up top for each one of these attributes. Here's the ego, spore, flesh wounds, and trauma that we're going over right here, okay? And so your spore, when you see that spore infestations box, that's how much of the sepsis, kind of like the spores that get on you, that you can take before you turn into a leperos, I guess is what they call it. But basically somebody that's infected with the spore, right? And somebody that can become a carrier of that spore and start spreading it to other people. And that's kind of configured by your psych plus your faith or willpower, depending on which one you chose, times 2, how you get that. Then you look at the flesh wounds box down here. And the flesh wounds is kind of like your minor damage that you take. And you kind of check off these boxes of your flesh wounds, which is your body plus your toughness times 2. And that's going to give you your flesh wounds. And once all those are checked off, then you go to the final box down there's a little smaller box, which is trauma. And trauma is basically when the body can't take anymore. If you run out of boxes to check for those flesh wounds, then you're going to start checking off boxes on the trauma. And every box that you check, that's one box closer to your death, right? And that's by your body and your psyche attributes added together is going to give you your trauma, okay? Now, then you're going to start with a little bit of money. Let's take a look at that real quick. I think it's right here. Yep. Nope. Here it is. Right here. So this is going to kind of tell us about your starting money. And what they do is they look at your rank level in your cult plus your resources. And then you're going to multiply that times this kind of chart down here, depending on which cult you're in. Okay, each cult is going to be a little bit different. So if you're a Spitalian, you're going to be times 100. Okay, so they give us an example here. Monitor, this person named Monitor is their character's name. They're an agent, so they have a rank of 2. He also has resources 1, so 1 level in resources. According to the table, the factor for chroniclers, because he's a chronicler, is times 128. You can see it right there. And so he's rank 1. He's rank 2 with resource 1, so that's 3 times 128 equals 384 chronicler drafts that he would start with. Okay, and remember, dinars are what they use in Africa, and it's just and chroniclers are pretty much what they use everywhere else. Chronicler drafts, CDs. They're a 1-to-1 ratio, and they're pretty much accepted interchangeably. You can use them both in both places. So it's not like, oh crap, I'll only have dinars. I can't spend it here. No, you don't have to worry about that. It works everywhere. So again, you can there's kind of a bazaar here where you can take some of that money, that your starting money, and go and buy in the bazaar. You don't get a lot to start with. You're not going to be rich. So you might be able to buy just a couple quick things, or maybe some survival items, maybe matches or blankets, stuff like that. I'm trying to think, what do they use here? A water filter. I think they showed up as a blanket. Water filter matches is 155 CDs. And so if you're starting with 380, that's not a whole lot. But if you're buying from the bazaar before it starts, you're going to get stuff cheapest. They say, like, once you start going into some of these towns and buying stuff is like crazy expensive compared to if you just buy it up front. Of course, you're not going to have the money to buy much up front. It's a one-time gig. Take it or leave it. So next, we'll talk a little bit about your experience and your progression. So so you can progress your character. We talked about the ranks and stuff like that. And what you do is you get experience points for playing the game and for good role playing and those type of things. And we're going to go over more of that in the GM section. But basically, you get your experience points, and you can buy new skill ups in your attribute and your skills, right? And they have this little chart here for us, and I want to keep this up so you can see it. This little chart here that shows you to buy a new attribute, you want to get the new value times 12 XP. So let's say your attribute was 3 and you're trying to go to attribute 4. Well, the new value would be 4 times 12 experience points. So that would be 48 experience points that it's going to cost you to up that attribute. Okay. Same goes for your skill or preferred skills or preferred attributes have a little bit different value. A little bit less for the preferred attributes and preferred skills. But anyways, you can upgrade them, and that's pretty cool. You can also, remember, as you level up your attributes and your skills, you're also going to be gaining ranks in your cult, right? And so that's going to give you, new weapons, new abilities and stuff like that, new equipment. And they says really, to make it an in-game event, make it a party, make it, put medals on them. Like, you're only going to be that rank once. And so go ahead and make it a big deal in game, right? Make a ceremony out of it. I think that's cool. Now, then finally, the potentials. You can buy new potentials as well. Now they're a little bit more expensive. The cost for a potential is an added level of all your potentials times 10. And so, if you've got 3 potentials and all of them are level 3, that's 9 potentials times 10. That's a lot of experience points. So yeah, so some of them are a little bit expensive, but they're supposed to be. They're very powerful things. So you don't want to just hand them out like candy. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the character creation and the mechanics of Degenesis. And guys, I just got to tell you, I'm absolutely loving this book. The art is amazing. I love the mechanic system. The lore is absolutely incredible. It's just a really good job. They did a really good job here. So yeah, that's about it for me tonight. Now next time on Wednesday, we will be talking about combat, and I might be getting to, have to see how far I can get. They have the battle, the bazaar, which I'm not going to go through the bazaar. They talk about the burn. Remember the drug burn? That's in here. See how far I get into that. So yeah, we'll have to see what we're going to be going over. I'll be definitely going over combat for sure, and then something else on Wednesday. So if you have any questions, go ahead and throw them down into the to the chat or go ahead and comment, and I'll get back to them later. I know a lot of people like to watch them later, like Neil. Hello, Neil. And I'll be sure to get back and answer your questions for you. But yeah, that's it. If you guys like what you see, go ahead and hit me up with a like button. I really appreciate it. And we'll see you all on Wednesday. Bye, guys.